This is a 13 Weather Impact Alert.
Well, good Friday evening, West Michigan. The time here about 7:52 in the evening, and almost 7:55 now to be exact. And we actually do have a couple severe thunderstorm warnings across West Michigan. This is out ahead of a cold front that's coming through the area, and that will definitely allow for some cooler temperatures to come in over the course of the weekend. But before that cold front sweeps through, we do have the opportunity of some stronger to severe thunderstorms as this evening goes on. This severe thunderstorm warning is for a variety of counties, at least portions of Lake Mecosta, Newaygo, and Osceola County. This goes all the way until 9:15 this evening. Really the concern here with this thunderstorm is the opportunity of some straight line wind damage, some wind damage itself of maybe gusting there or even above 60 miles per hour. Could be some small hail in this storm as well, but that's the concern overall with this initial severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued by the National Weather Service about 10 minutes ago. You can see here's the updated look to the severe thunderstorm warning. A lot of lightning and a little bit of lightning associated with this. Here's a better look at this. This is kind of more into the eastern half of Newaygo County, right to the west of Big Rapids proper. That appears to be the case as this moves a little bit to the northeast. So if we try to put a little bit of a track on this here, and I'm just going to see what the latest look here, moving north and east at about 30 miles per hour. So here we go. Here's our track. This is moving a little bit to the northeast. Yeah, this would be heading, towards Reed City within the next 15 minutes or so if this holds together. This is heading closer towards the northeastern half of the area. Here's the new warning real quick. I'm going to step away and grab our latest sheet here. This is somewhat interesting. Yeah, here we go. This is an updated look here, and I want to show you why, folks. This is the same area, same thunderstorm, but an updated look to this warning. Severe thunderstorm located 10 miles west of Big Rapids, moving north and east at about 35 miles per hour, 60 mile per hour winds, but look at the difference here. Maximum hail maybe upwards of 1.5 inches in diameter. That is nearing ping pong ball size hail. So as we take a look at maybe the hail potential here in this thunderstorm. This is a look at rotation, not concerned right now for any rotation in this storm. Looks pretty broad, looks more like straight line winds, but there it is. There's the hail potential, and yeah, that has really exploded within the last 30 minutes. I guarantee it has. Here's a loop over the last 30 minutes. Yeah, to the north and east of White Cloud. Look how much that has really taken off in the last 30 minutes. So this is providing probably some decent hail, this storm. That appears to be the main threat now. We'll say this is in a rather rural area. You start heading a little bit towards northeast Newaygo County. This is pretty rural, especially if this stays west of US 131 to the west of Big Rapids itself. Obviously, Big Rapids, home of Ferris State. Big Rapids is populated, but you go west of Big Rapids, it becomes quite rural rather quick. Just to the west of Big Rapids, up and down 131, you have you have a Meijer there, you have a Menards, but then you cross the interstate here and you get into this area. It starts becoming a little bit more on the rural side. This looks like it's closing in on 15-mile road, even up towards, if it keeps continuing its path, maybe up to 13-mile road. See if I can get a little bit zoomer in. Yeah, this is up in Norridge Township. Not seeing too much in the way of roads if this is going to pop up. But regardless, this is appearing to be a decent size hailmaker across portions of Newaygo County. I'm just changing a few of these graphics here, and then we should be good to go. So yeah, again, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for mostly Newaygo County. This goes until 9:15 in the evening. This is mostly for the northeastern half of Newaygo County. Notice a few additional showers, though, to the south, few rumbles of thunder as well. But it is this storm right here, this cell, that is raising the eyebrows just a touch because of its hail potential. 1.5 inch diameter hail is possible with this storm. You can see this is the hail core right here. Right there. That's where the hail would be occurring in this storm. Yeah, a little bit of rain trying to sneak into the western half of Mecosta County, maybe the west side of Big Rapids. The Big Rapids Airport is a little bit up to the north, roughly in this area right here. You can see my arrow. But this is the hail core right in here. We also have a separate severe thunderstorm warning across parts of Mason and Lake County. This is getting a little bit farther north of our viewing area here, 13 on your side. This is starting to push into the viewing areas of TV stations up north. But this is for Lake and Mason County. This 2.5 inch size hail. This is getting to the north of, so there's Ludington. Here's Ludington. Scottville's roughly right around there, and then you start getting a little bit farther north of the Baldwin area. Yeah, you're starting to talk a little bit closer to Wolf Lake. You're getting in towards the Peacock area. There's Luther. These are all smaller communities, but that's getting a little bit farther north of us. We're going to head back to, again, this severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Newaygo into Mecosta County, really kind of on that dividing line, the county line at least, but at least the main hail core is positioned in eastern Newaygo County to the west of Big Rapids. So again, this appears to be roughly, I'm trying to give it a little bit of some guidance here with some of these roads. This is, again, pretty rural in this part of Newaygo County, but we're talking 9 Mile Road, maybe getting up to a little bit into 9, 11, 13 mile per se. There's the latest scan. Wow, this is really taken off over the last, I just want to show this loop over the last 30 minutes, how much this has really taken hold. So this is a quick loop over the last 30 minutes. Look how much this just really exploded. Yeah, so this is likely dropping some decent size hail across far northeastern Newaygo County. This is about right now, so obviously there's Big Rapids, there's 131, and this is just to the west. There's the business right here. This is the main drag of 131 right here. This is the business route of 131. So this is to the west of 131, just to the west of the county line of Mecosta County. So this is still in northeast Newaygo County. Again, putting a little bit of a track on this. This is last update. This was moving at about 35 miles per hour to the north and east. If we put just a little bit of a track on this, heading in this direction, yeah, we're looking at about 10 minutes or so. If you're watching from the Reed City area, you're generally in that area of Reed City, a little bit to the south and west, especially if you're a little bit west of 131 there in northeast Newaygo County, even in the far northwest corner of Mecosta County. Again, if you're right near 131 between Big Rapids and Reed City, yeah, you definitely want to be heading inside for this storm, because this has got the potential to be dropping some big time hail. Again, upwards of 1.5 inches in diameter. That is ping pong size hail. So that's nothing to really mess with. To put that in perspective, for hail to be the criteria for a storm to become warned by the National Weather Service, you need inch in diameter hail. So we're already past 1 inch by far. I still don't want to dismiss, though, that there is a wind component to this thunderstorm. There is the potential for some wind gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour. So again, that is the potential over the next 30 minutes or so as we continue to look at this thunderstorm to the north, really just to the west of Big Rapids. Also want to expand a little bit. Our focus really this evening is going to be additional thunderstorms that are going to be coming into West Michigan. Obviously, we dealt with a extensive round of severe weather yesterday evening. I don't sense that we're going to have that magnitude of severe weather this evening. I feel like we're going to have a very hit or miss scenario that plays out tonight if any of these storms can become severe. But this is all driving off of a cold front. There's a few other ingredients available, just not as strong as yesterday, but there have been severe thunderstorm warnings up across Wisconsin today. There's still one back to the west here in northern Illinois. This one providing a little bit of a hail and wind threat. The biggest risk for severe weather today has been down in the Ohio River Valley, really parts of Indiana, and especially towards southern Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, back towards Missouri. In fact, there was a confirmed tornado that crossed the northern half of St. Louis, the metropolitan area. But look at all of these polygons you see on the map here. These are individual severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings stretching back from, oh goodness, parts of southeast Missouri into the Louisville area, back up into Indy, now starting to cross between Fort Wayne into Cincinnati. So that's where the main severe weather risk is today, but we still have our own risk, and that is with this initial severe thunderstorm warning that's across mostly right now far eastern Newaygo County into Mecosta County. As of now, it does appear that hail is our main concern with this thunderstorm, I would say, is our main concern, because when we try to look at velocity here, really not sensing too much in the way of any broad rotation. I'm not seeing too much in the way of strong damaging wind per se. I guess if there's a little bit of wind right here, it would be to the north. It'd be right in here. That seems like to be our main core of wind here. I'm not seeing any rotation, that is for sure. Just want to get a good look at what we got here. All right, this is an update to that thunderstorm warning here in parts of Newaygo, Mecosta County. Again, the hail potential here is what's more concerning, and this is the last update here. At 8:01, ping pong ball size hail was reported 6 miles west of Big Rapids. So we do have confirmation now that this is providing ping pong ball size hail, but that's of roughly about 1.5 inches in diameter. So this is some larger hail here. And now this storm is getting a little bit of a kick here. It's starting to move to the north and east at about 50 miles per hour. So to put this in perspective, let's do this. Let's go to the north and east. Yeah, Reed City, you got about 5 minutes. I would say about 5 minutes. Let's, you know anyone that's outside, someone's trying to get the lawn cut late in the night here. We're in the 8 o'clock hour, trying to get some last stuff done around the house. Tell them to get inside. You got about 5 minutes to do so. This is going to provide some heavy rain, that's for sure. A little bit of thunder and lightning. There is some thunder and lightning, so not to the extent of yesterday. Yesterday was a light show, but a little bit of thunder and lightning, but more concerning, a little bit of gusty wind and also some large hail, because again, when we look back at, here's velocity, I would say right in here, that's now crossing into Osceola County. That appears to be our strongest wind, so heading pretty much right into Reed City is the potential for any strong wind. But again, when you talk about the hail potential here, this is still providing that opportunity of some larger hail. Again, this really exploded within the last 15 minutes. It does appear that was the peak of the hail right there about 4 or 5 minutes ago. This last radar scan somewhat diminished, but likely still providing at least a little bit of hail here and there. And again, we still have additional thunderstorms we'll be watching out for throughout the rest of this evening. Notice that we've had a few additional storms fire up behind this line. I'm going to loop this here, and you can just kind of see. This is north of Muskegon to, let's say, Cedar Springs. You can see these storms firing up pretty quickly, even behind this severe thunderstorm warning. So we'll be watching for how those behave over this next hour. A little bit of lightning associated with these storms, at least enough energy out there available. And then we also have a little bit of storm activity trying to push into parts of Alligan County, really Saugatuck towards Holland. And then we still have additional storms back to the west. So our threat of severe weather tonight has begun. Obviously, you know, we've kind of messaged just a little bit today in between all the coverage of yesterday's storms, the cleanup of those storms. Still not expecting the extent of severe weather to be as great as yesterday, at least from a coverage standpoint. I don't think we're going to see these storms become widespread with a very massive squall line rolling through West Michigan. I think these are going to be a bit spottier, hit or miss in nature, but there is still the potential for some stronger winds, some pockets of wind this evening in any of these thunderstorms. Like we're seeing right now in the Big Rapids area, some large hail. That is definitely doable in any of these storms, and even the potential, the low-end potential of a brief spin-up tornado. I think that risk is very isolated to this evening, but it is non-zero. I'm going to just see what we just had printed here. And our last update is going to be on these thunderstorms pushing into Alligan County. Would not be surprised we see a little bit of we see something with this. These are strong thunderstorms impacting portions of northwest Alligan County through Ottawa County to about 9:15 in the evening. As of now, these have wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. So to put that in perspective, our severe weather criteria for wind, you would need wind gusts in excess of 58 miles per hour. So we're kind of on the high end here, the higher end of wind before this would be triggered to a warning from the National Weather Service. So we'll be watching that storm itself pretty closely as it pushes onshore, and this is going to be heading into the Holland area. This is moving north at about 35 miles per hour. Just want to give a simple loop here just to get the direction right. Looks a little more north and east to me than... Looks like we got another warning, by the way. I want to track this real quick. That seems like a good direction. Yeah, this should be heading towards Holland by 8:17. So about 5-ish minutes from now. This will be heading towards Zeeland by 8:26. We're going to get this last warning here. Okay, this is another warning with one of those thunderstorms that was in the Big Rapids area. But this storm down here by Alligan County, that's going to be the next one to be looking for to maybe intensify a bit as it moves onshore, moves over land. This will be heading northeast into mostly Ottawa County within the next 10 to 20 minutes, and then if it continues its path, it'll try to split maybe the western half of Kent County. We'll see how that goes, but that will be the next storm we look at. Again, this is a new severe thunderstorm warning. There was the original one. This is the original one. Now we got this one that's mostly for Mecosta, Montcalm, and Osceola County. So this is including the northwest half of Montcalm County into the entire county of Mecosta. This includes all of Mecosta County, and then into Osceola County as well. So this is a pretty large warning by the National Weather Service here. And this warning is just for 60-mile-per-hour wind, 1-inch size hail. So there is the potential there of some stronger wind gusts. Again, not sensing anything too strong in the way of wind right now based on our sampling of velocity. If we can go to velocity here, again, we're going to look at kind of the sampling of wind in our atmosphere. You can see there's our main core of wind right there in that individual storm that's pushing through into Montcalm County right now. So in the Trefont area, that is where we have some of the strongest wind as of now. Yeah, right in here, that appears to be the strongest wind. If we look at hail, just to the north of Howard City, I do want to go back to radar just to kind of give a little bit of a sense here. Notice these are individual thunderstorms kind of training on top of each other. Look how this is an hour ago. There was nothing on radar an hour ago, and look how quickly these storms fired up. There was the initial thunderstorm west of Big Rapids, and now we're seeing a few of these thunderstorms kind of train in motion. And by train, I'm meaning that they're kind of working on top of each other, one after another. So for parts of Montcalm, Mecosta County, this is definitely providing a little bit of a heavy rain threat. No flooding per se just now, but definitely some quick heavy rain that's becoming a bit consistent over the last 20-25 minutes. But this is the look here on radar. Not sensing much in the way of rotation by any means, and not sensing any concerning wind, but still a few pockets of large hail now just to the north of Howard City. You can see that here. This is our main hail core in these individual thunderstorms. So right to the north of Howard City right now, this is going to be crossing, probably already crossing M46. Yeah, it has really crossed M46 and now is into the, just to the north and west of the Amble area. So this is just now to the north and north of M46, east of US 131, kind of splitting the gap between Morley and Amble. Again, this is getting a little more in a rural location as you move north and east. Some roads here. You'd be looking at, if you're in the Amble area north of Bailey Road, that appears to be the area where we're seeing some of this large hail. We also have another hail core, a little less compared to the one just to the south. That's near M46 right now, but between Stanwood and Canadian Lakes, that's another hail core. And then there's the initial, wow, look how much that really fell apart. I'm going to loop this over the last 30 minutes. So again, remember that was the initial hail core. If you've been watching us from over the last 20 minutes now, that was to the west of Big Rapids. Yeah, that storm fell apart on itself. So now the focus is turning back to this thunderstorm here in northern Montcalm County that is going to push into southern Mecosta County within the next few minutes. This is splitting the gap between Amble and Morley, just north of M46. This is probably already crossing M46, this storm. Main concern here is large hail, possibly up to quarter-inch size hail, but I would not be surprised in that individual storm right here. This could be a little larger than quarter size. I would not be surprised. We're looking at maybe some hail isolated, but could be upwards of ping-pong size hail that's splitting right between, again, Amble and Morley, just north of M46 now. So you're kind of looking at Bailey Road, Amble Road. This would be kind of crossing Yankee, Cutler, North County Line Road, and then you start going up into some of the individual mile markers, 1 mile, 2 mile road up into Mecosta County. So this is definitely the main storm we're looking at here. I'm trying to see if I can get any roads to pop up on our map, but that's okay. What do we got here? This is another severe thunderstorm warning. Yep, this is the same one. So right now we have just a couple severe thunderstorm warnings in play. Most of this centered from northwest Montcalm into Mecosta County. And then you get up into Lake and Osceola County as well along US 10. It looks like they just expired one of those warnings. So this is the main one right here that we are watching. And I think the biggest thing out of this thunderstorm is the hail threat. That definitely appears to be the biggest thing. Not noticing too much in the way of strong winds. If we wanted to look at velocity here, again, this thunderstorm is still showcasing the possibility, the wording of this warning, that there could be 60-mile-per-hour winds. But based on velocity, I'm not really seeing too much. Maybe a little bit here in the Canadian Lakes area. Yeah, this looks a little messy for my liking in terms of trying to make any determination of what we're seeing wind-wise. Just a little bit of a pocket of wind right here north of Howard City. Again, that's kind of associated with that main hail core. So what's probably happening here, you're getting this is your main hail core. A lot of momentum of these stones reaching the ground. There's probably some outflow from that hail that's reaching the ground, and by outflow, it's the momentum of air rushing down to the ground level and then spreading out. Could be a little bit of a downdraft there. That's just to the north of Howard City, kind of splitting again over north of M46, heading just to the south and east of Morley. So again, this storm is just east of US 131. Let's see what we have here. Okay. What I'm reading here is just a few of these severe thunderstorm warnings that have been canceled. And we do have a train. Okay, here's a. Let's look at this. Okay, so what we have here right now is a couple hail reports that have come in. Here's one in Big Rapids. This was $half size hail just by the airport. This was right by North State Road by the airport. That was at 8:15, so that was 5 minutes ago that report came in. That is by the airport. Wow, yep, $half size hail, so that is about 1.25 inch size hail. That's just smaller than ping pong size hail. But then again, we did have another report of to the west of Big Rapids. I would assume this is Woodville, maybe Woodville Township. This was ping pong to golf ball size hail, somewhere between 1.5 inches to about 1.75 inches. So that is definitely some large hail. And looks like, I think this is continuing the severe thunderstorm warning, yes. Again, what I'm really focusing on here, I know we got a little segued there. That was some of the reports. That was that initial thunderstorm. If you've been watching us over the last 30 minutes, at about 7:50 to 8 o'clock, that was that initial thunderstorm pushing through eastern Newaygo County, clipping. Again, it looks like that storm did clip the western half of Big Rapids, at least by the airport. That's a little bit to the north of downtown Big Rapids. But now our focus is to this thunderstorm right here, and what I'm looking at on radar, this is not reflectivity, this is not showing rain, this is showing the potential for hail, and this is still showing a little bit of decent sized hail potential here. That's now to the east of Morley. This is now pushing into southern Newaygo County. This is in This is just to the east of Morley now. So we'd be looking at Jefferson Road. If you're north of Jefferson Road, you're going to Martin Drive, 3 Mile Road, for example. Let's say 3 Mile Road, 4 Mile Road, 5 Mile Road. We're now in Mecosta County, so we're getting to the numbered system here for our roads. That is where we're looking at here for this individual storm. This is all moving to the north and east at about 45 miles per hour. Just try to get a loop on this. So looking towards Canadian Lakes by another couple minutes from now, 8:28. Morton Township, that would be about 8:30. Again, it gets a little more on the rural side as we start pushing into central Mecosta County, so that's why we're not seeing a lot of locators on the map here as we push into it. So again, just kind of use this broadly. If you're in Mecosta County, east of US 131, again, towards Stanwood, towards Canadian Lakes, you've already seen a few storms around. Definitely want to let this one ride through, get inside and let this storm roll through, because this is providing some big time, I shouldn't say big time, but at least some notable size hail to the point that at least a little bit of damage could occur with this hail. If you got a little bit of time in the Canadian Lakes area, you got the car in the driveway, if you can get that into the garage, that's always a good idea, because yeah, this is providing at least a little bit of hail on the order, I would say, probably quarter size at the very least, some inch in diameter hail. Still watching out for a few additional showers, maybe a few thunderstorms that are trying to blossom here this evening. Again, it's only 8:24. Our threat for severe weather through this evening will probably last through around 11, if not even towards midnight. But again, watching Holland, the Zeeland area, this storm has made its way on shore. It looks like only a couple rumbles of thunder here, but some quick heavy rain. That's all pushing north and east. We have this individual thunderstorm here that is to the north of Hesperia, heading towards Walkerville. This is east of US 31, so east of Rothbury, Shelby, Hart, the Mears area. That's an individual thunderstorm. And then again, our main focus is this thunderstorm right here in Mecosta County that is providing the potential of hail of maybe 1.5 inches in diameter. So that's nearing ping pong ball size hail. You get to about 1 3/4 inches. You're talking golf ball size hail, and then you get a little over 2.5 inches. You start approaching that baseball size hail. Still have not seen too much to be concerned about for wind. I know the warning says up to 60 mile per hour winds, but I'm not really seeing much of a concern here in terms of wind velocity. This is a look again at our sampling of wind in the atmosphere. This is looking a little messy, and what I mean by that, I'm just not seeing anything concrete. I guess if there's been any sign of maybe some wind coming down, maybe right in here just to the west of Rodney. You can kind of see this subtle core here. That could be a little bit of a downburst. So again, the momentum of the rain and the possible hail in these thunderstorms, well, that's sinking to the ground level. That might be providing here. See these greens and reds matching up together? It's a little bit, maybe a little bit of loose rotation in that storm trying to get its act together. Keep an eye on that. That's to the north of Canadian Lakes. That's to the south of Rodney. Yeah, just something to keep in mind there. Hail potential, you can see that storm. There it is in Rodney, the hail core just to the north. It does appear that this initial hail core that was to the east of Morley, heading towards Canadian Lakes, somewhat diminishing. That's good news there. Not as the potential there is not as extreme on our legend as it was just a few minutes ago. But again, we're just keeping an eye on some of these thunderstorms across. We got this initial thunderstorm here that's in the southern half of Mecosta County. And I'm going to put my phone away. There it is. And then the separate thunderstorm here just to the east of Big Rapids. I'm going to try to get a few locators here for you. Yeah, this storm that I'm zooming in on right here in the Rodney area, this is right around M20. You know, you're talking to the east of Rodney, you're going down 14 Mile Road. You know, if you're familiar with this area, this is a common path, the Rodney area, to travel between Big Rapids and Mount Pleasant up and down M20. So M20 kind of goes, it's a little bit of a windy road, but you know, you go in through here, then you kind of maneuver your way back to Big Rapids. So this is close to M20. This is still providing a little bit of a hail threat, but again, I just want to kind of still keeping an eye on a little bit. I'm really getting pixelated here with my sampling of velocity, but still just keeping a little bit, you know, this is pretty broad rotation here. You can kind of see what, you know, a little bit of the, if you want to call this rotation, you know, the green and the reds close together. I think what this is really showing is that we have that strong hail core. This is a pretty organized thunderstorm. I think that's the clearest thing out of that right there. Starting to see that. Well, there's a good sign out of that last scan. The hail potential a little less, but at least around M20 there near Rodney, that was providing some hail there, at least the potential of that for a quick minute or two. And look back to our storm here now east of Morley. Yeah, this one just now to the south and east of Canadian Lakes. This one is definitely in and out, providing some big time hail. This one continues to, because this was the loop here. And we're really seeing this storm kind of pulse a little bit with the hail potential. Not a lot of thunder and lightning with this storm. This is, you know, there's a little bit here of thunder and lightning, but just a lot of heavy rain. You can see the hail core itself. Yeah, this and this magenta coloring right here, that is the hail core. Yeah, that's pretty easy to show on radar, right in here. So, and that matches up pretty well with where we, yeah, right in there. So this is probably providing a little bit of strong wind, but I really think that hail is the main concern here. And again, you start getting a little bit to the north and east of Canadian Lakes. If this is going to continue on its path here, you would be heading towards the Remus area. Again, that's along M20. That's, you know, you're heading towards the path of, you know, that pathway on M20 between Big Rapids and Mount Pleasant. It's a pretty common route. This was all pushing to the north and east, about 40 to 45-ish miles per hour. Again, yeah, heading towards the Remus area. Probably any minute now, that storm will be arriving. Still, you know, loosely looking at this shower cluster back towards southern Ottawa County, Zeeland, Hudsonville, some light to moderate rain. Nothing too impressive there. Still have that core that's splitting right up the Newaygo-Oceana County line. That's really just to the east of Walkerville. What do we got here? Okay, so that's impressive, okay. In New Era, we have a report of inch-and-a-half size air, or inch-and-a-half size hail. Let me go back and try to find that there on radar. Because that's just to the north of Rothbury. Let's see what we hand over in the last hour. I wonder if it's that right there. That was 5 miles to the east of New Era. So yeah, that was the storm that provided a little bit of a hail threat, it looks like, in parts of Oceana County. This was about 10, 15 minutes ago. And then, okay, and then finally our last storm report. This was this storm coming here through Holland. The weather station at the Holland Airport, 52 miles per hour. So that's a pretty gusty wind gust, or pretty substantial wind gust. Again, 58 miles per hour is what you need for a storm to reach severe criteria. So 52 miles per hour, that is getting up there a little bit. So we're going to still keep an eye on that thunderstorm that's pushing through now, just to the west of Hudsonville. This is kind of heading towards Jenison, Allendale, for example. It's pushing up Ottawa County. But there has been a report now, 50 mile per hour wind gust, 52 mile per hour wind gust to be exact, there in Holland. And again, we did have that hail report. This is the main hail core here in southern Mecosta County. This is still the severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect until 9:15 this evening for mostly Mecosta County, but a little bit of Osceola County too if this continues its path. I wouldn't be surprised this gets into Isabella County. This is Isabella County right here where Mount Pleasant's located. That's Isabella County. That is the main storm right now. Still a little bit of hail with this one. This was the one that originated there's that one right there. And it's all about this storm right here between Canadian Lakes and the Blanchard area as this continues to push up to the north and east near Remus. We're getting another thing from the National Weather Service. Let's see what we got here. Okay, this is one you don't see every day, folks. This one is down for, I'm going to get back to radar here. This is for Kalamazoo and Van Buren County. Notice there's nothing on radar here. So what could we talking about? Well, weather reports in the South Bend area indicate strong gusty winds and reduced visibility with blowing dust moving north into southwest Michigan. These storms today have transported a lot of dust. We've seen this happen already before this season, where we're getting a lot of dust, we're getting a lot of dirt transported in our atmosphere from the southern plains, and the momentum, the overall orientation of our jet stream, that is what's transporting this dust and dirt. Again, we kind of see a similar story when we've had issues with wildfire smoke in the past, over the past several summers. That gets lofted up in the atmosphere. Sometimes it mixes down to ground level. Similar kind of story here with some of this dirt or this dust that's being blown into southwest Michigan. I'm going to kind of go take a look at visibility here. If I can find my map. Let's see here. No issue on the visibility map there, but wow, look at some dark clouds. Here's the view in Grand Haven. You can see some dark clouds on the horizon there. Let's see if we... So, okay, that's what we have there down in Van Buren and Kalamazoo County. That is the alert there. That is not a warning by any means. Again, we're sitting here at about 8:40 now in the evening. And we still have that severe thunderstorm warning for Mecosta County. This goes until 9:15 this evening. Hail, the main concern, a little bit of wind. Again, I'm not seeing too much in terms of wind here on our map. I guess a little bit of wind now. Yeah, this is a little bit more in the wind. You can see that brighter shade of green there. Let's see where this severe thunderstorm warning is. This might be a continuation. And it is. Okay. So this is a continuation of this severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Osceola, Mecosta County until 9:15 this evening. This is all moving to about the north and east. Yeah, you can kind of see how this is pulsed a little bit, the wind here, and that brighter shade of green. If we look at hail, yeah, still a lot of large hail. Wow. Yeah, that's a decent signal there for some large hail. That's to the north and east of Canadian Lakes. So again, we're kind of getting into the Mecosta proper. That's Mecosta proper. There's Remus. This is kind of pushing up. This is east to west oriented. So this is kind of along M20 right now, M20 and M66. This is Wheatland Township. Again, a pretty rural area out here. You have a little bit of Remus area into the Mecosta area as well. This is a little bit of a rural area here in West Michigan, and this is almost pushing now into mid-Michigan. This is our far north and east communities. But that is the main thing there. A little bit of hail potential now, maybe with that system coming through. And that was that storm that was providing some stronger wind gusts in the Holland area. You can kind of see over the last couple frames here. And that storm trying to get its act together. This is going to be heading towards Walker, Marne. This is going to be heading north of I-96 soon, kind of splitting the gap here between parts of Ottawa and Kent County. Not too much lightning associated with this storm. There's a little with that storm there. And you can see there's an additional severe thunderstorm warning. This is getting out of our viewing area here, but this would be for Isabella and Clare County. So again, this is mostly the northwest corner of Isabella County. So north and west of Mount Pleasant, CM to the north of, and then there's Harrison. This is up So again, this is what we're kind of seeing as this storm pushes to the north and east. But it's, oh, and there, that warning itself. Threat. This warning here in Mecosta, Osceola County. And again, this is because of this main core here that's pushing through the Remus area. Hey, you hear that, Nick? That's a little thunder out here. Yeah, that's a little thunder out here. Starting to hear the rain out here out of our studios in Walker. There it is. There's that storm out in eastern Mecosta County. But again, we're kind of, see how this storm behaves here. And just to the west of area, there's Walker, stretching back a little bit towards Allendale, but this is all moving to the north and east, so this will be heading towards I-96 within the next. Let's look at velocity here. Not really seeing too much on our. Not seeing too much, but let's get back to the hail potential. Maybe a little bit of hail there in Walker, but again, it really is about this storm that's pushing through eastern Mecosta County. This is likely providing some large hail, no doubt about it. This has been pretty consistent now, folks, for the last 15 minutes. Look how this, what looked to be nothing 15 minutes ago, has really exploded, and we should get another radar scan coming up here any minute. But let's see what else we have here. This might be a storm report coming in. Yes, right in this area of half-inch size hail, so that isn't too bad. That was from Amit. That was a report there out in the Remus area, but radar really indicating a lot of hail there. And you also look at velocity. Definitely some strong winds reaching the ground there, just to the south of Remus. A lot of this probably a little bit of a downdraft due to the across the area. That is kind of what we're looking at here when we talk about velocity and our winds. Okay, yeah, we're once again contending with these power surges here at the station. That's why you might be seeing our box gray or black out once again. We had that issue last night. This is a new update to the thunderstorm here. Let's get kind of a cleaner look. This is that's pushing in right here. This is going to be northern Kent County. Yeah, strong storm near Walker, 6 miles north and west of Grand Rapids, moving north and east at 60 miles per hour. So this is going to be, based on its track here, let's kind of get a good look here. This is moving miles per hour. Again, you're seeing kind of our screen. It's likely because we're having another power surge. Just going in and out. So if this is going to be moving in this direction, this is going to be heading towards Wright Township, and more towards Sparta into Cedar Springs. Again, you get into Comstock Park to the west of Belmont, because here's 131. The biggest thing here is that this thunderstorm is possibly providing wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour, a little bit of pea-sized hail. We did see a little bit of that potential of small hail over the last few minutes. So this is the storm that we'll be really starting to watch out for over the next several minutes. We still have this considerable severe thunderstorm warning across really Mecosta County, stretching into Isabella County. So this is starting to move out of the 13 on your side viewing area. But that is our main storm as of now that is warned. And then we have this is going to be our next thunderstorm here. Hey Nick, is there any opportunity to maybe take a quick peek at the weather deck and see if there's any small hail out there? It looks like there was a report at 4 Mile and Fruit Ridge of half-inch size hail. Let me just pull up the camera here if we can see the camera of the weather deck. I don't know if we'll see anything. Does that look like hail? That looks like hail. Hey Bree, are you there? Folks, I'm just talking to. If Bree could take a photo of that, that would be great. Or if Nick, if you want to race out there real quick and take a photo of that, just to have a little bit of perspective. That looks like hail to me. All right, cool. There, we're looking at our weather deck out here. This is a live look at our weather deck. Looks like a little bit of small hail. As we know, it ain't snow. We know that by now. That is not snow. I'm just gonna kind of take a little bit of. That doesn't look. Might be just heavy rain on the deck itself, but we'll keep a look on that. But there was a report there, 4 Mile and Fruit Ridge Township. This is an emergency manager, Skywarn member of Kent County. 4 Mile and Fruit Ridge Road of a little bit of half-inch size hail. And yeah, let's go back on me here. And you can see there's a little bit of that potential of small hail here north of I-96 to the west of Belmont, towards the west of Comstock Park. No hail? No. Okay. That I took a closer look, and that's what I was seeing too. It looked like it at first, though, didn't it? Yeah, it did. Just trying to get through a few things here, everyone. Thanks for staying with us, as we're just having a kind of a loose conversation here on 13 plus. You might be finding us on YouTube, whatever it may be. By the way. Just a new storm report just came in. We've had several storm reports here in the Remus area of hail. And yeah, there's the last one that was just from a train spotter. Golf ball size hail. That's 1 3/4 inches in diameter. That was at M20 and M66. That was exactly the area we were looking at in terms of where there could have been some big time hail. Here's another report that there's quarter-size hail in the Blanchard area. Again, this is getting a little bit in our far north and east communities here at 13 on your side. But regardless, that thunderstorm, that was the one that originated all the way back near Howard City about 45 minutes ago. And it is still cooking at a good clip here as it pushes into western Mecosta County, or western Isabella County now. So this is moving towards Isabella County. This is getting more towards, let's say, this is getting towards Lake Isabella, the Barrington area. You would be talking Rosebush, for example. These are just some towns that are out there in Isabella County. But we got some heavy rain. You might be hearing it here over my mic. But this is the thunderstorm that's pushing through western Kent County right now. Okay, we heard that one rumble of thunder, but I haven't heard anything since. So providing some decent rain, some torrential rain right now. And again, the concern here for parts of northern Kent County that we got to keep an eye on here over these next 20 to 30 minutes is that these are going to be strong thunderstorms that have the potential of gusts up to 50 miles per hour and some small hail. So if we see any indication that these storms strengthen just a touch, we'd be getting pretty close to, maybe a severe thunderstorm warning from the National Weather Service. And you can really hear the rain coming down right now. And that is coming down at a good clip here at our studio. So we still have that considerable severe thunderstorm warning for Mecosta, Osceola County. That is mostly pushing into Isabella and Clare County. And so this warning still's got another 20 minutes to it. Notice there is also a separate warning back here for Big Rapids up to Reed City once again. This individual cell that's pushing right through Big Rapids itself. So right there's that storm. A little bit of small hail there in the Big Rapids area. And again, just to the west of Belmont, to the west of Rockford, that storm is coming through. This is splitting the gap right between Rockford and Sparta. Notice somewhat of an uptick there in that last radar scan of our hail product here, which is also known as VIL, vertically integrated liquid. We don't need to worry about why it's called that, but it's definitely showcasing that opportunity of maybe some small hail, maybe some pea-size hail here. Wouldn't be surprised just to touch a pea-size hail, maybe as large as dime-size hail. Obviously, the storm that's pushing now mostly into Isabella County, that is the big hail maker right now. That looks to be providing some big hail here across the area. Again, we've had a few of these reports in the Remus area. Hail as large as golf ball sized. So that's nothing to really fool around with there. Still keeping an eye again. We got this one thunderstorm. It's not warned, but National Weather Service of Grand Rapids, they have their eye on it as well as this continues to push up right along 131 now. Starting to impact a little bit of Comstock Park, starting to impact Belmont itself, Rockford, into the Sparta area. Not noticing much. I got another screen next to me where I'm kind of keeping a track on velocity, that sampling of wind in our atmosphere. Not seeing much in the way of velocity right now. At least, and that's what that means, is that I'm not really concerned about gusty wind as of now. We'll still be watching over the next, it'll be interesting to see how this evolves over the next hour. We still have this line of thunderstorm activity across the heart of Lake Michigan. It'll be interesting to see how these storms behave as they push a little bit onshore. It looks like these storms here are moving a little bit more to the east. Moving north and east at about 45 knots. So that's about 50 miles per hour. But notice, it's moving northeast, but I would argue that it's moving a little bit more to the east-northeast. And so if we take that kind of general area, we'd be looking, another 25 minutes, that northern extent of those showers and storms over Lake Michigan, reaching Muskegon, reaching Grand Haven eventually by 9:40. We would be the southern end of these storms. So the southern end of this little squiggly line you see here, this broad box, those storms would be heading towards Holland by about 10:10. So you'd be talking about an hour from now. I think if anything, I'm getting a little bit of a sense here that we're seeing. Notice here, this is looking like it's trying to pulse a little bit right in here. That looks to be our main hail core with this individual thunderstorm. I have a feeling this might be getting the attention of the Weather Service soon if this continues to strengthen a little bit. This would be heading towards the Cedar Springs area pretty soon. This is riding right along 131. You get a little bit north of Cedar Springs, you would be talking, the Sand Lake area. You'd be getting in northern Kent County here. You would be getting, then pushing back into parts of Montcalm, maybe Newaygo County. You'd be getting to the Pearson area. Not much wind associated with this, and by far no rotation. I'm intrigued to see what the next scan is going to bring here out of this potential of hail, but it definitely looks like we have a little bit of the opportunity there. At least this is providing some pea to penny size hail across the area. So again, if you're joining us, it is about 9:02 here in the evening. We're just here on 13 plus, as we do have active severe thunderstorm warnings across portions of West Michigan. Most of this across Mecosta into Osceola County, and then it's extending a little bit to our north and east. But we do have one thunderstorm in particular that we're just keeping a close eye on. If nothing happens here in the next couple minutes, we might just put this back to some looping radar, and then we'll come back to you as needed throughout these evening hours if another warning comes through. But just want to see how this thunderstorm behaves over the next minute or two here in parts of northern, really the heart of Kent County into northern Kent County. You can see here, there's that latest radar scan. So yeah, this storm is still picking up a little bit, I would say. There was 15 minutes ago, that storm came over us in Walker. And notice how the hail potential, and you see our legend at the top of the screen, every scan over the last 15 minutes has showed a slight increase in intensity here. So could be a little bit of small hail reaching the ground there. And this just south of the Cedar Springs area. There's a rumble of thunder. So again, we have a few other thunderstorms that are starting to blossom a little bit here to the north, and look at that in the last 20 minutes or so, how these storms are taking off. So it'll be intriguing to see how these storms behave over the next 20 to 25 minutes. So I think for now, it's 9:04 here on this Friday evening. We still got a few thunderstorm warnings near Big Rapids. A lot of this now pushing into Osceola County. this particular storm right here is pushing into Osceola County, and then we have this storm here that's now mostly in Lake and Isabella County. That is a nasty storm there. That's pushing into Lake and Isabella County. That's got a little bit of some broad rotation to it. It still has some strong hail to it. That's why there's a considerable tag for that severe thunderstorm warning. That's now mostly out of Mecosta County and is pushing into Isabella and Clare County. So a little bit out of our area. So I think what we're going to do here is if we're going to keep this stream going, we're going to let this radar loop for a little bit, and we will be coming back to 13 plus, or possibly breaking in if we need to regular programming. We'll come back as needed over the course of this next hour or so. And if not, we will then come back and say everything is good. But that's what we'll do for now. We're in a little bit of a lull. No active warnings here in West Michigan outside of the one that's really now pushing into Isabella County. And so if anything happens within the next, we'll say 20 to 30 minutes, we'll come back to you here on 13 plus. But for now, we'll have late radar loop. You'll see the warnings if needed, if they pop up. And if they do so, we'll come back and have you covered. So again, 9:06, we'll have this loop, and we'll be back if needed over the course of this evening.
This is a 13 weather impact alert.
All right, welcome back. I'm meteorologist Blake Hansen. It is about 9:23 here on this Friday evening. We took a little bit of a break, only lasted about 15 minutes because we do have more thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms rolling through West Michigan. And this one is now for parts of Muskegon and Oceana County. So this is for our lakeshore communities. There it is. There's the warning. The warning here is for the potential of wind upwards of 60 miles per hour, and also the possibility of some hail that could be upwards of quarter size in strength. When we look at velocity here, pretty much this is going to be our main core of wind right here, and this is it right here. Let's try to get a little bit of a. There it is. That is our main core of wind there. That's just between Whitehall and Muskegon. Yeah, that's really heading right through, where Michigan's Adventure is at. That's right there at US 31. You get to the Lakewood Club. You're getting towards Twin Lake, for example. That is where the strongest wind is at right now in terms of hail. Yeah, that's some decent hail. That's definitely providing the opportunity of at least, I would say, some hail of, we'll go penny size. That's about over, half inch, almost 3/4 of an inch of hail. I would definitely say that that's nearing that type of strength. Notice, I just want to go back to that original storm that we were highlighting a lot over the past hour. That is still chugging into now Clare County. I want to just look at this loop over the last hour just because there was when this storm took off at 8:32. It is 9:25 right now. Look at that storm. That's going to probably have a history of hail through parts of eastern Mecosta into Isabella County. That is something there. But again, we're just looking at the potential here of the severe thunderstorm warning in Mecosta, in Muskegon, and also into Oceana County. And there is the potential there for some 60-mile-per-hour winds. For the most part, velocity isn't screaming at me here. Definitely think, the main core of this storm is right in here, right over Whitehall right now. Between, just to the west of Twin Lake, the Dalton area, stretching up US 31 towards Whitehall as you get into, that Muskegon, Oceana County line. This is your main area where you're going to be seeing at least the potential for some wind and hail. So the Whitehall, the Montague area, you can kind of see that on radar here. Can we pull up that Muskegon Tower camera, by the way? Yeah, there's the Muskegon Tower camera right there. You can see some thunder and lightning. Wow, yeah, that was something right there. Yep, you can see a lot of lightning there in the distance. And we saw this yesterday. Luckily, we're now past 9:25, 9:30 here in the evening. But we had a lot of lightning over the lake, thousands of lightning strikes that progressed through West Michigan. And we still had people at the pier, at the beach, trying to look at these storms. It's not what we should be doing in terms of lightning safety, because that is dangerous. But it is cool to see from inside, that's for sure. But there it is. That's that storm that's pushing through the Whitehall area. I'm not really sensing too much in the way of wind. This is velocity now. Those strongest wind gusts a little bit to the south and east of that main core, because right in here in the Whitehall Montague area is probably the main hail core. And what's happening is that you're having all these larger stones, these items fall from the sky. Well, that has momentum, and as it reaches the ground, that's likely providing a little bit of a downdraft here, a downburst just to the south and east, because the main hail is again right over the Whitehall area. So yeah, that's what's likely happening. You're getting all of this sinking air that's ushering out of this main hail core, and that's what's providing a little bit of those gustier winds. But not really sensing anything alarming here on velocity for wind, and that's why this warning, the severe thunderstorm warning, is really for your baseline severe weather. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts are possible, inch-size hail, so quarter size in diameter. So you definitely have that potential with this storm. Just going back to this warning here. Nothing has changed here. This is for Muskegon, Oceana County. Really from Muskegon northward. Now, if I will say, if you're watching from Muskegon, as of now, yeah, a lot of cool lightning in the sky, clouds looking dark. We're getting close to pretty much the nighttime hours now. Nothing severe, at least on the horizon. We got a few additional storms that are tracking back across Lake Michigan, which we'll have to keep an eye on through the next hour or so. But at least for this severe thunderstorm warning, it is the core of this storm is right in here, now crossing 31, heading towards northern Muskegon County at the very least. It gets a little rural out here, but you'd be talking about getting to the north of Twin Lake. You would be getting closer to east of Rothbury, for example. You'd be crossing that side of US 31 there, and that's where their main core is right now for this thunderstorm. Just see what's going on here in terms of any warnings. Does not appear we have any. We might have a few storm reports that are popping in right now. The only thing we got here right now is the potential in Lake County. This is up here. This is this thunderstorm, or I should say it is this thunderstorm right here. Keeping an eye on this potential right here as it heads into Lake County. Could be some penny-sized hail associated with that. The good news, the storm that was over Kent County we were keeping an eye on, you might have heard some rain through my microphone. That was that storm that came through parts of Kent County. A lot of this is kind of falling apart, so not too much of a concern here. And really, when we look back across the board, there's a lot of severe weather down to our south, but it's really going to get through, I think, this last line right here that's up and down the lake. And then our threat for severe weather is going to come quickly to an end tonight, because this is what's on the way for tomorrow. That's our Saturday. Not necessarily a washout, but we're not going to have any energy left in our atmosphere to support additional severe thunderstorms or a severe threat at all. So this is, if I put on, I guarantee if I can find guarantee right here, if I can get it going here, this is your cold front right there. And actually, it's probably more like this. It's not the best drawn cold front in the world, but there you go. That's your cold front that you're playing with tonight. And these storms are feeding off of this storm. You have a little bit of a occluded front back here. There you go. And then, here's your low pressure system. So that's what we're playing with in terms of the dynamics today. And once this front comes through, within the next few hours, temperatures are going to fall off tonight. We're currently sitting here You know, right now we're still sitting in the 70s for the most part. Yeah, there's some fluctuation here just because of areas that have seen some rain, you know, such as Ludington at 58. But look, we're still well into the 70s in many spots. 79 here in Grand Rapids. It is still warm on the other side of Lake Michigan. 77 in Milwaukee, 75 in Chicago. But when you take the broader look here, yeah, you can tell where the cold front is. You go from 77 in Milwaukee, you go to the other side of Wisconsin in La Crosse, and it's 54. That's a 25-degree difference almost. And you go way to the north and up by Fargo, it's 42. So we have a cooler air mass coming our way, and that's going to do a couple things. It's going to end any severe weather threat, at least for the next week. We do not have any anticipation of severe weather through the end of next week and maybe even beyond that. So that's good news for those that have been, you know, a little sick of the weather lately. We are not going to see any more warmth over the next week or so. In fact, we need to be a little concerned about maybe some patchy frost returning to West Michigan, some nights in the 30s, which would not be a good thing because we are obviously full bloom now. Everything has bloomed with the recent warmth over the past couple weeks. So that's what we'll be watching once we get past this evening. But again, last few minutes, last 20, 30 minutes or so here on radar, our main severe thunderstorm warning is across Muskegon and Oceana County. Yes, there is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning, but that is generally outside of our viewing area here on 13 on your side. That's across Isabella. Really, that thunderstorm now is into Clare County. If you're familiar with that area, Clare County has Clare, the city of Harrison in it. That is all pushing to the north and east. That will be north of the Tri-Cities if it keeps its same path. But again, this is the main storm right here. Been no changes to this. This is severe thunderstorm warning with inch-size hail, wind to 60 miles per hour. The main core here is now to the north and east of US 31. We're just not seeing too much on radar that's really concerning me is kind of the wording I got here. Nothing that's really concerning me here on radar, which is good news. You can see the velocity is very messy. You really can't decipher anything here. Still got some of that hail potential to the north and east of Whitehall and Montague. So in that area right there, that would be our biggest potential for some hail. But, you know, we're starting to get to the point where we're getting a little rural out here. This is more, you know, some campgrounds out here. This isn't very populated, so that's definitely the case here is once we start pushing into southern Oceana counties to the east of Rothbury. Notice this storm up by Lake County. This is just to the south and west of Baldwin. This storm kind of getting its act together. And we'll see how this interacts, but you know, this storm right here has got some energy to it as well. This is Newaygo into Lake County. We got a few additional showers north of Greenville, north of Cedar Springs. These aren't a huge deal. And then, yeah, I mean, really what we got left, folks, is just this line right here, and that's going to be about it. So hopefully we can just get through it, and there's no tricks up Mother Nature's sleeve over the next hour. But we've had a few reports of wind and hail today. In Mecosta County, we've had hail reports upwards of ping pong to golf ball size hail. We've had a few wind gusts in excess of 50 miles per hour. The Holland Airport had a 52 mile per hour wind gust. We also had a 52 mile per hour wind gust at Kalamazoo. So there have been some stronger storms here. Some of which severe storms, especially in the way of hail. And this all kicked off around 7:45 or so. Now it's 9:37. So we still have this warning. It's out here for, again, Muskegon, Oceana County. The bulk of this kind of pushing north of that county line into Oceana County. A little bit of lightning here. Do we have that Muskegon tower camera still ready to go? Oh yeah, you can see, there it is. That's a cool sight there. Yeah, so we got some thunder and lightning. Nothing too serious, it seems like right now. But a little bit more thunder and lightning as you go northward of the storm, back to the north of Twin Lake, east of Rothbury, west of Hesperia, and then you get into northern Newaygo County, and there's Lake County right there. But we still have a few more thunderstorms over the heart of Lake Michigan. That definitely shows a little bit more in the way of wind. And what I mean by this, there's some pockets of wind here with that storm that's coming through Lake Michigan right now. If we take a look at this. And these storms are moving. So we'd be looking here, reaching the lakeshore with this, last line that's up and down the lakeshore, getting into Grand Haven within the next 10 minutes. Get a little bit closer to those thunderstorms pushing on shore. Holland would be closer to 10:10, so we're talking a half hour from now. So that's that will probably be our last watch of the night. And by watch, just on our end, watching these storms. Because back to the west, it doesn't appear these storms up in here over the lake are providing too much of an issue. Hey, we can go to Grand Haven. There's our Grand Haven view. A lot of lightning once again. Yeah, it's been a little bit of a light show these last 2 evenings. That's for sure. But again, not really concerned too much here what's going on in parts of Muskegon, Oceana County. Yes, it's a severe thunderstorm warning. We want to respect that, but at least nothing alarming is showing up on radar here. Generally just looks like more your run-of-the-mill, heavy downpour, heavy rain, with the springtime thunderstorm, some frequent thunder and lightning, some loud boomers out there, and maybe just enough of some hail and wind there. We go back to velocity, not really seeing too much. We go back to hail. Yeah, really the only hail concern is back to the southwest corner of Lake County. There's the hail core still of that system up towards Clare. Now that has been a long-going system, and just a touch of hail concern up and down Lake Michigan with those storms that are coming through, or will come through the lakeshore, probably within the next 30 minutes. So nothing that's real concerning here as of now, at least on. There's Grand Haven right now, Ferrysburg. That storm might miss you just to the north and east. This might be, this is going to roll more into Norton Shores, into Muskegon Heights, Muskegon itself. And what I'm pointing at here is this right here, will be heading in this direction. So, okay, there's that warning that disappeared for Isabella County, so that's in the clear. So really what we got, and we have our special, there's our special marine warning. Let's see if that will do anything. Yep, indicating some gusty winds, some small hail in these thunderstorms. Okay. Well, it is about 9:43. Well, this warning goes until 10 o'clock. You know, as of now, nothing is really alarming here on radar. I think what we'll do, folks, is that we'll take another break. If we see anything come up with these storms that are over Lake Michigan right now, we will come right back on for you. It is 9:43. We obviously have our late 11 p.m. show on WZZM. It'll be myself and Julia Gorman tonight, who's in for Juliet, and just see what we else got real quick here. Yep, and there we go. The severe thunderstorm warning for western Muskegon and Oceana counties is canceled. It's weakened below severe limits, no longer poses immediate threat. All right, lightning still possible with this storm. So that should be canceling out of our system within the next few minutes once it processes through. So again, it's 9:44. We'll take a little bit of a break. We'll re-loop radar again, just in case. We still got to get through this one last line of thunderstorm activity. But the good news is that it's appearing that this severe threat is rather limited the rest of this evening through tonight, especially as you start to lose some daytime, the peak of daytime heating. So again, 9:44, 9:45, we'll let you be. We'll have radar loop and we'll come back if needed. As for now, have a good rest of your Friday night, everyone.